Guys. Want to give you an update on the meeting with the mayor. First of all, let's start off with this audio clip here.
Welcome to the City of Perry. Our business hours are 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. We are closed on Saturday, Sunday, and federal holidays. If you know your party's 3-digit extension, you may dial it at any time. To pay a utility bill, set up new service, or inquire about your balance, please press 1. For taxes and licenses, press 2. For building permits, building inspections, code enforcement, planning and zoning, engineering, or plans review, press 3. For public works, press 4. For economic development, press 5. For municipal court, press 6. To dial by name, press the pound key. For all other calls, press 0.
Good afternoon, City of Perry. Cindy.
Yes, Cindy. May I speak with the mayor's secretary, please?
One moment, please.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, City of Perry.
Yes, this is Mr. Dunn. How you doing?
Oh, well, Mr. Dunn, how are you today?
Doing good. I just want to see if you had a chance to talk with the mayor yet, since you left.
Yes, sir. I just left you a voicemail message probably less than 5 minutes ago asking if you would give me a call.
I missed that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I spoke with Mayor Faircloth. He said he can meet with you on Monday, May the 14th at 8 o'clock in his office. He also stated, yes, sir, that's this Monday coming up. He also stated that he will not meet with you if you intend to record his conversation with you in any manner. And he asked if that will be acceptable to you.
Okay. Now, I would like to talk with him about that. The reason for that is that I do want to meet with him, okay?
Yes, sir.
However, his request of him giving me a ultimatum of not recording him because if I bring cameras in that he's not going to meet me or with me.
He said if it's not acceptable, he said that you could meet with the DA if that's not acceptable to you.
I can meet with the DA instead of him.
Yes, sir.
Is there a way that I could talk with him on that? And the reason for that is that I don't think that is right or legal to ask me not to record a meeting. Because that would be setting up a meeting with him, and under the Meetings Act, which is part of that, you are allowed to record by law for that. Now, if he's saying that he doesn't want me to record, and I understand where he's coming from, because, I know with the whole legal stuff that and whatnot, you don't want to have anything recorded. I tell you what, okay. I do want to meet with him, with the mayor, and discuss these things with him.
Okay.
And I won't bring in a video recorder because these are some issues that need to be addressed.
Okay, so go ahead and put you on the calendar for Monday at 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock in the morning? Yeah, that'd be fine.
Yes, sir. Okay, I'll go ahead and add you to the calendar.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was the mayor's secretary who contacted me. I've been trying to get in touch with the mayor on this ordeal since the beginning of March. I called him as a courtesy to give him a heads up of what was going on in his city, because because I felt like he didn't know what was going on. Had already gotten up to the city manager, and the city manager has refused to hold anybody accountable or to even investigate what I submitted as far as the complaint. The Open Records Act in Georgia, when you have a non-compliance to that, according to the Open Records Act, it says that it's is a misdemeanor for knowingly and willfully preventing access to records, making them difficult to obtain, or knowingly and willfully frustrating the efforts. Those provisions is exactly what Major Phelps did on February 8th with the open records request. Complaints for the police department were handled by Major Phelps up to that point, and it has since changed since I brought this to the attention to the city manager. But I called the mayor, and we talked on the phone for about an hour, and he apologized for the treatment that I received, and thanked me for my service, and asked me what we needed to do to rectify the situation. I advised him I'd prefer him to watch the videos prior to us discussing that, and we could discuss that and see what needs to be done. I didn't think it was... I wanted him to see how I was treated, or a member of the public was treated by his officers over something simple. And but I got in touch with him at the beginning of March. I called him, I think, 2 weeks later or something like that, and to see if he's gotten a chance to watch the videos. He said he hasn't watched the videos yet, and I was like, okay, I was a little disappointed in that, so I said, okay, that's fine, I'll follow up with you in a couple of days then. I ended up giving him about a week and a half after that to follow back up on him, and I called him again from my number, and he didn't answer the phone. I called back within a minute or two from a random person's phone number, and he answered immediately. And he said that he really didn't have time to talk to me on the phone, that he still hadn't watched the videos at all. This was still in March. I waited for a while and still haven't heard anything back from him. I believe I sent at least 1 or 2 emails requesting updates on that and haven't got a reply. On, I think it was April 20th, I decided to request a meeting because he hadn't gotten back to me, and a lot of things had transpired since then. Specifically with the April 19th meeting that I had with the city manager had said that the mayor had put out a memo to, or had put out a directive saying that all the meetings with me needed to be recorded. That memo is right here. And so the mayor has replied to my complaint of their officers breaking the law, their conduct and mistreatment with me at the police department, the falsified report, and the whatever else the other thing was, I can't recall at the moment. But his response to that is to have me recorded. Now, it's a good thing and a bad thing. One is that if everything was recorded, everybody was recorded, that would be great. But since he sent the memo out specifically on me, he has specifically targeted me and singled me out because I brought issues of concern to him about his officers and his city manager. And I find that very disrespectful, and I believe that that may be a form of harassment in itself, to be singled out. Again, that memo that you just saw is only about me. But anyway, as you heard in the audio earlier, the mayor would not meet with me, period, if I recorded him. That's guys, that's a First Amendment right violation, in my opinion. And as me being a journalist, being able to record that as well too, I think that's a violation of my rights on that. I asked for the meeting. It was a public meeting in a public place, with a public official doing public duties. That's all covered under the Open Meetings Act, and I believe that may be a violation of that as well too. When I got to the meeting with the mayor, let me backtrack a bit. With all that being said, because I feel that this was an important issue to bring up to the mayor himself and actually talk to him, I decided not to fight that battle immediately right then and there about those rights, although I did address it in the phone call, as you heard. I think the issues were important that I needed to talk to him, and I could address the violations at a later date with him. Now, when I had the meeting with him, I had brought in a laptop with video clips of the videos that have occurred, to include the full length of the first video, and the clips of the second video, the one with Captain Buck's statements, and a couple other clips from the city manager. I started playing the video, which was the day one video, the first encounter with Major, and the mayor said he's already saw that one in its entirety. So I skipped ahead to the second part of the video and played the part where it says, so what do we find out? And he's like, what about the equipment? And he says, it was repaired. So the mayor saw that, and I gave the mayor the actual report that Major Phelps had signed, and he looked over that. And I pointed out that, Major clearly says that I had never told him what it was about, but you saw the video where it was there. And he said yes. We continued on slightly on that. I tried to go into some more videos, and he was already telling me he was pressed for time. The mayor here, Mayor Faircloth, is a part-time mayor who holds a full-time job at the Mercer University College in Macon, Georgia, according to his secretary, which means that he's a part-time mayor here. He only comes into the office, excuse me, he only comes into the office when he has meetings at the, I guess at the City Hall. However, he doesn't have that many meetings scheduled in Perry, or at that City Hall anyway. As I asked the secretary, it was almost 2 weeks out before his next meeting was for him to come in. He said in our meeting that the president of the college had set another meeting up during the same time frame of my meeting, and that that basically took precedence because he had to go to that meeting. He said when the president tells you you've got a meeting to go to, you've got to go to it. So his private job takes precedence over the members of the public, of the community that he's supposed to be serving. And I find that very disconcerting. I was able to point out a couple other things to him. The meeting didn't go as long as it needed to go. I didn't get the opportunity to tell him everything, didn't get a chance to ask some questions like I wanted to because the meeting got cut short, but I did tell him that the chief failed to hold his employee accountable, that the city manager has refused to, did not take any notes for the open records violations investigation that he was supposed to have done, and he said that it keeps it in his head. So that's not how you're supposed to store governmental records, especially on an investigation into a criminal complaint, because the open records law says that it carries criminal and civil charges for that, or could carry civil and criminal charges for those violations. I also explained to him how the city manager didn't circumvent any of this by failing his duties. I pointed out that the new email system that they're using, which is Google Suites, has a flaw that allows the individual employees to actually delete their emails from their accounts, permanently delete them without any records of that, and express my concern for government accountability for that. Which I asked him if there was any provisions they were putting in place or already had in place to circumvent that, and he said that they're still working on it. It's still a new system. Typically, before you roll out a new software, new system, you should already have policies and procedures in place, and a protocol standard already set. You don't roll out a new software and then design a protocol or policies after the fact. You can add or adjust to the policy as needed, but you need to have something. There's not been one set up or designated as of yet. And I guess the important things to take away from this mayor's meeting that I had is, one, he wouldn't allow me to record him as requested. Again, as you heard in the audio from the secretary, when I was persistent about recording, he was going to refuse to see a member of the public that was addressing complaints against his employees, and was going to defer me to the DA's office locally. I've contacted the local DA's office before just to try to get some information, and the local DA's office here won't deal with any of this. They referred me to the Attorney General's office for the state, which I have contacted them. I emailed Jennifer Colangelo, the State Attorney General's office, representative for open records request. I sent her my complaints. She's contacted the chief of police, and the chief of police and the city manager, as you heard in prior videos, the narrative that they're running is that they were confused about when the major was supposed to was denying my open records request and when I was trying to submit my open records request. That's the narrative they want to run with, and that's what they passed on to the Attorney General's office. Miss Colangelo was provided the links to the videos, which I assume she did not watch, because after contacting, her reply to me was basically that they were confused, and she bought the story and sticking with that story. They've also talked with Miss Colangelo about trying to restrict access to our government with our First Amendment rights to record. Miss Colangelo has capitulated, in my opinion, with them to deny access to record the clerks in the municipal court clerk side. They now have a sign up on the window with no code, because it's not an enforceable code, that says that there is no photography or no recording in that office. They're trying to cite that they've got confidential paperwork all over their desk. First of all, it's a public space, it's a public area, it's and where you can conduct business. First Amendment and recording and conducting a interview or recording is a type of business in a public forum. But they have key-locked access to keep people from going in there, and they are not allowing you to record in there because of that paperwork. Now, I did go in there, and I did challenge that briefly. Chief came in and wasn't able to continue my recording there. I didn't have a backup, didn't have a person contacted for my backup that I normally do, and I didn't want to challenge that and end up going to jail and sitting in jail for an extended period of time, and God knows what happens off camera with them, because they're pretty ticked off at me for some reason. I guess it's because when you expose people, they act that way. But I explained to the mayor also about the complaints that were filed against me. Miss Janet Duffin filing a complaint against me for because somebody on her Facebook page from her friends list sent her a video. 2 of her friends from her friends list sent her a video that said, "OMG, it's you." And that was several days. That was in March. I think March 12th is when she sent the complaint to the city manager. My encounter, I think last encounter with her was on March 9th. So this was several days afterwards. She alluded to the fact, or she said that she was fairly certain it didn't come from her friends list, from her friends from Facebook, even though they came from her friends list, and that she couldn't prove otherwise. But she was speculating, or in my opinion, it led you to believe that she was stating that I had something to do with it. I had another complaint with the municipal court clerk's office. One of the ladies there filed a complaint several days, actually almost, I think several weeks later, after I had filed I think it was 2 weeks later. In any case, I'll have to look that information and get back with you on that. But she filed a complaint against me. That was in the video when I went to go get the phone records. Went back and forth, went to the bank and got cash out. On the way out to the bank, I was talking about the taco, because that was like a day or 2 before I went and bought some tacos, and I had cash on me, and I spent all my cash on that. And when I came back from the bank, I gave her the money and said, here's $4 American. They didn't have pesos at the bank. Well, she said that I used the word pesos directly towards her in a negative way, or something along those lines. And in my opinion, I think she was implying that I was trying to be racist in some sort of fashion. But in either case, she said that she wanted to tell me off, but she decided not to for whatever reason. And then when another officer saw the video and told her about it, that she got upset again and wanted to tell me off. That's actually when she wrote the letter to the city manager, because after I posted it. Since I brought up pesos real quick, I was stationed out in San Diego for a while and used to go to Mexico all the time. I mean, for $5, you can go down there and drink all you want to all day long. I did that when I was in the Navy. I was young and dumb, but guys, drinking is not cool. But not only that, I used to go down to Mexico. You go down to Mexico, I used to, for like $3 in American cash, you can get, I would get like a huge crab plate, a giant crab, and I mean, that crab was like this big, man, sitting right in the middle. Had all the nice trimmings, had the clam, fried clams, fried shrimp, had some vegetables and Corona, and for $3, it covered all that, plus, and that was the tip as well, too. It's like, I think the current exchange rate as of, I think this video here is like 19.5. That's like 5 cents. 1 peso equals 5 American cents, or 5 cents. You know, I really love Mexico, going down there and visiting, and met some really cool people there, and had some friends down there. We used to go out and hang out. We used to ride horses out there, and did the cliche thing, riding horses on the beach in Mexico, which was actually pretty cool. Got in a race with one of the guys down there in Mexico on the beach. We had a competition. I won, and but not by much. But it was fun. I really had a great time in Mexico. So I pesos and stuff like that in Mexico. That's just a thing I talk about a lot. Just because being in the military, as an enlisted person at the bottom of the totem pole, your money don't go far anywhere in America, especially out in California. You know, I mean, you're making what the average person does at, you know, at a fast food restaurant serving in the military, and you got rent that you have to pay for, uniforms and stuff. So you just really don't have much money. And if you want to go out to a club out in California, it's like $20 just to walk in the door. Plus a minimum drink or food purchase that you got to buy, which is like usually another 10 or 15 bucks. So you're $35, $40 into it before you even get started. But go down to Mexico, walk in any club, any restaurant, any attraction, whatever. They didn't charge you any entry fee there. The money went a lot further. I mean, a lot further than it would have ever went anywhere else. So we had a good time while I was down there. But anyway, so she filed a complaint about that. It seems like they're just trying to pick different things to complain about for whatever reason. I said, I've been trying to work. I told the mayor, I said, look, I've been trying to work with you at the from the lowest level. And I said, I'm already here at the mayor. I said, I never even wanted to talk to you. But the city manager just failed to do his job and not investigate the complaint like I gave him. There were no notes on there. He refused and did not watch the videos in entirety. And he said he was too confused in the videos. So, but anyway, I digress. I apologize, guys. Well, so what it boils down to is that the mayor didn't really say much. He really looked like he didn't want to be there. When I talked to him about the major's public document that he signed, again, I keep saying in my opinion that he falsified because he said I never told him about the equipment being repaired when the video clearly shows him I said that. And then he claimed I was harassing him with video cameras when we were back. Anyway, I showed him those paperwork, and I just literally lost my thought process. Anyway, but I showed him the paperwork. The mayor glanced over it, and I said he really didn't seem like he wanted to be there. Oh, I know what I was saying. When I was talking to him about the major's report, how it was missing information, purposely missing information, he misquoted me and messed up other things on there and claimed that I was harassing him and his people. The mayor decided to try to make a excuse by saying, using his example of the city minutes, that they're not exact documentations of exactly what happens or occurs there. They're kind of a summary, and he was saying that the mayor's thing was a summary. And as I pointed out, I said, well, even if it's a summary, he misquoted me. And not only did he misquote me, he left out very crucial information, like the fact of where he clearly says, I never told him anything. And you heard him tell me from the video, and he saw that part of the video, that he told me that it was repaired, and he told me he would look into the equipment on day one. So, we've got the mayor trying to say that it was a summary, that whatever, chief has said that's his interpretation of what happened. And, if an officer is allowed to interpret things other than the way that they actually occurred, and quote you saying things that you did not say, and claim that you are harassing them when you clearly wasn't harassing them, and saying that you were confrontational when you clearly wasn't confrontational. Recording a public official is not confrontational. Not signing a legal document that you're not required to by law to sign is not considered harassment. Not giving your name out because you don't have to, because their policy says you don't have to, and it's your right not to have to give it out, secured in your persons and effects. I think that's what Amendment 4, you're not required to do so. So by not giving that information, that's not considered harassment. So I don't know where he's getting his harassment from. It's other than him yelling at me and raising his voice at me and demanding things from me that I don't have to do. I'm not required to by law, and it's within my rights to do so. But anyway, I told the mayor this. Told him about the voice over IP system, that it failed. I told him that Chief is, I've asked Chief a couple follow-up questions, stuff like that, and Chief had said these are not open records requests, and that he wanted me, I had to resubmit my questions back to him in an open records request format. And then today, Chief was griping and complaining about that I'm submitting all these open requests to him. He's like, you submitted like 50 open records requests to me. I'm like, well, yeah, it's because you won't answer the questions and I'm not getting the information I want. You know, and they're charging excessive fees of, you know, thousands of dollars to view records. And I'm not opposed to paying reasonable fees for records, but paying $1,000 to view emails that they can pull up immediately by typing a name in into the search engine box and hitting enter, and it pulls up all inbox, sent box, trash, and archive, is, I think, is a little excessive. To pull up voice over IP system software when functioning properly is a very easy system too. However, they do have to read it and or listen to it and redact whatever they want to out of that, I guess. But the request originally was very specific to requests, and he said he didn't have those at all. And then I requested subsequential dates before and after. And then now they have phone calls, but it's not the entirety. It's only one side of the system malfunction. And, in either case, but I advised the mayor of this. The mayor never took any notes during the meeting. Again, had to leave. He cut my meeting short so he can go to his private jobs meeting. And he said he would talk to the police department, but and he probably has. But I don't feel that this meeting with him was productive. In the least sense. Like I said, I've been trying to work with everybody on this, and they continue to block me, lie, falsify stuff, and not even look at the information that I'm giving. And then they don't even have the time of day for me, because obviously, according to Chief today, is that I'm just one voice basically right now. And some of you guys have commented that as well too. They're not gonna. They needed more voices in order to before they start listening to me. But yeah, Chief said that I'm just one voice, and nobody here locally was interested in this. And I advised Chief today that it was actually incorrect. But I digress. Get off the mayor thing. So that's the conclusion of basically what happened with that.